You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I want to go on a monster roller coaster thing with my brain, whatever that said. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. I think I broke half people's mic there with that welcome. But thanks for tuning in. Be sure to further share your friends, neighbors, relatives. Get them involved in the show. Say you need to subscribe to Chris Voss Show. Go to iTunes right now with your phone and subscribe. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. And all those crazy places that we have, all the groups for the Chris Voss Show. To my audience, thanks for being here. Today we have another amazing author on the show. She's a multi-book author. She's written a lot of books. Her new book is going to be coming out October 18th, 2022. We're having a laugh in the pre-show green room because, oh my God, we're talking about books coming out almost the end of the year. Like, where did this year go? Oh my gosh. Her new book, Love from Mecca to Medina, by S.K. Ali, is going to be coming out, and we'll be talking about that. Let me tell you a little bit more about her and what she does. She is the New York Times bestselling and award-winning author of several books, including Saints and Misfits, a book about me, I think, a finalist for the American Library Association's 2018 William C. Morris Award, a winner of the Apollo Award and Middle East Book Award, and Love from A to Z. That's probably also a book about me too as well. I'm just kidding. An NBC Today shows Read with Jenna Book Club selection and named one of the best teen novels of all time by Reader's Digest and Good Housekeeping. Welcome to the show, SK. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I loved your intro. It was so high energy. It got me ready.
That's what the coffee's for. And I'll just start referring to you as Sajda. Sajda, do I get that pronounced right?
Yep. Perfect.
There you go. Your first name during the show. So welcome to the show. Congratulations on the new book. Give us your plugs, your .coms, wherever you want people to look you up on the interwebs.
Yeah. So on Instagram at SKLE Books, SKALI Books. I'm on TikTok there as well. Book Talk is huge. So I love, just to share things about my books coming out or books I've already written. On Twitter, I'm at Sajida, SAJIDAH Writes. And you can find me on my website at sklebooks.com.
There you go. So how many books have you written? Because I know there's a few. And then what motivated you want to write this one?
So in total, my gosh, I think I have, now I've written 7 books, but not all of them are out yet. And I have 3 more that are under contract as well. So still on the process of working on, but I've got 3 YA novels out in the world. Nice. I've got a picture book and a middle grade that I'm an editor of. And so there's just different things, because one of the things I love best about being a writer and author is just dabbling in different genres, different writing for different age groups. I'm writing adult as well right now. So just whatever, that's what I've always loved about just sharing stories, is like reaching as many different audiences as possible is like a real big interest of mine. And the book that's coming out in October is Love from Mecca to Medina, which is a sequel to Love from A to Z. And there's actually, the original cover looks like this. And it was, I call it an iconic cover because it was, I think it might have been the first cover that has a hijabi model. She actually wears hijab, and real people on the cover of several BIPOC books with BIPOC characters started to have real people and covers, and mine was one of the first, among the first batch. So I'm really happy with this cover. So Love from Mecca to Medina continues the story of Adam and Zainab, who met. Yeah, Adam and Zainab met in saw each other in an airport, met on the plane, and then at their destination, they kept running into each other. So I used to call it a meet cute that keeps meet cuting. Like they just kept meeting each other. And eventually, no spoiler, but obviously, if there's a sequel with both of them, they ended up. So in the sequel, they take another journey. And this one is to Mecca and Medina, which are cities in Saudi Arabia, where Muslims go to do pilgrimage. And the story is set during their pilgrimage, and it really gives people outside of the Muslim faith a glimpse into like what happens on pilgrimage. Some of the historic background behind it. But while that's the setting, it's really a story about what comes after the happily ever after.
So it's a book 2, and I know that tracking to Mecca, I think it is, right? It's quite the track. It's quite the event.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go. It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. So that's a little bit discussed at the beginning, where the word Mecca is now used in, the English language to mean a gathering, like the Mecca of basketball, the Mecca of fashion. And it kind of gets into like where that came from. So yeah, for pilgrimage, the annual pilgrimage, which is the Hajj, that is before pandemic, before pre-pandemic, it was like almost 3 million people.
Wow.
And then there's the lesser pilgrimage, which can happen anytime during the year, and it's not just at Hajj time. That as well, like millions of people go from around the world. So now pandemic numbers, things have changed. But it's just, like, what happens during the pilgrimage, what's going on. And it is a trek. Like if you actually are talking about the Hajj, there's a lot of rites, and there's a lot of retracing the steps of people who struggled in the past. So you put yourself in kind of like their physical situation, and reflect on that.
How long does it go on for, and how long is the trek usually?
So the Hajj, the one that Muslims must do once in their lifetime, it's a 5-day event.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's comprised of different, it's broken up into different aspects of the pilgrimage. So there's one where you circulate around the Kaaba, which is like a cube-shaped building, a structure in Mecca that Muslims all around the world face when they pray. They do their daily prayers, and during the Hajj, pilgrims circle around it. And then there's another aspect where you run or you walk like 7 times between 2 hills, and retrace the steps of Abraham's wife, who was left alone in a barren desert, and she was searching for hope. So you retrace that 7 times that she ran, and thinking about, like her, how she kind of like, set out seeking that hope. And then afterwards, there's a part where you actually like stand on a mountainside and reflect and pray. And then there's also a night spent under the night sky with millions of pilgrims. And so there's different, all of this parts of it involve reflection, and really like about your life and how, seeking guidance and stuff. So I decided to set the story of love in the midst of 2 people, like in different parts of their journeys in life, how they approach something like this spiritual event. And then, because one of the things that's really kind of key about like Love from A to Z is that both the characters are like the opposite of each other, like in every single way. They're totally the opposite. Zainab's very fiery and like very quick to like, respond to things and injustice. And so like she's really into seeking justice by whatever means. And Adam has more of like a calm kind of, he's into, reflection and peace and like seeking the calm. So they're two opposite characters. And so in this story, I kind of look at what happens when you're setting on a journey with like such different outlooks on life, and how does that like kind of play out.
Mm-hmm. Now they haven't gotten married yet. They're still in a relationship of just boyfriend and girlfriend.
No, so they actually in this story, they were navigating their friendship and coming to a realization that they might be the ones for each other. And at the end, you kind of realize that they've decided that they're ones for each other. When this story starts, they've had something that's called a nikah in like the Muslim faith, which is when they commit to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a contract, kind of like where you're in a relationship, a committed single, relationship, but they haven't had their like wedding or anything. So
Okay.
yeah, so they're committed to each other. It is, for all intents and purposes, it is a marriage, but they don't live together. They haven't had like the celebration, the wedding. That's going to be after they finish school and stuff. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now is this targeted towards I see on Amazon it's targeted towards teens and young adults, is that correct?
Yes. It's a young adult novel. So they're in the story, they're 22. They're both, yeah. And Zainab's just started law school. Adam is he actually dropped out of school in the first book, so he's trying to make his way in the art world. So freelance.
Now is he Muslim?
Yes. He
Okay.
so the story traces how he actually became Muslim. After like his mother passed away. So there's a little bit of background of how he came into the faith. And yeah, because one of the things that like a lot of young readers were pointing out was that a lot of the books coming out with like Muslim girls and women as protagonists had them kind of in relationships with people who are not meant like who are not of their faith, and there was a white savior thing happening where like they were being like rescued from their oppression or their oppressive background or whatever. So a lot of young Muslim readers were saying, and this isn't just in books, it was in TV shows and movies and stuff. And a lot of young readers were like, well, this is not our reality. Our reality is we do meet, like, we do get into relationships with actual Muslim men, and like why are we not seeing that? So I thought to myself, well, I'm in a relationship with someone who's Muslim, and he actually also came into the faith, and he wasn't born Muslim. So like I was like, these are stories as well, and we don't get to see them. So I wanted to write a story where it wasn't like from that stereotype of like a Muslim girl being quote unquote rescued or something.
Well, that works out pretty good.
Yeah.
What are some do you have any stories that you want to tease out, or different scenarios that we can maybe tease out to readers that they might like?
From Love from Mecca to Medina? Yeah. So there is whenever you go on a trip, like you go to Mecca, you travel with a group. So one of my favorite parts about writing is writing characters. So I bring together, an ensemble of characters who have their own quirks and bring their own kind of idiosyncrasies into the story.
Mhm.
So one of the characters, she has this persona where she assumes she knows about you all, like, as soon as she meets you. And there's this little, like, just little misunderstandings where she's summed up Zainab as, like, all these things that she's not. She thinks she's a vegetarian. She thinks she's, like, studying to become a police officer. Like, all of these things that, like, are, and it makes kind of a comedy of errors happen.
Mhm.
And so that's that's like a reoccurring thing with characters. I also just look at, like, you know, like, what what happens when you're not fully, like, focused. You're so focused on what's going on in your head that you miss the cues of, like, what's actually happening. And
Mhm.
so a lot of it is, like, a lot of my writing is you know, comedy. I would say it's like comedy of errors, like in this style of, like, a lot of classics where, you know, comedy of manners, and, like, just like things happening where one character is not aware of what's going on with another character, and then, like, miscommunication, uh,
Mm.
because that's a lot of life. And so yeah, so you'll get to a lot of people who read it ahead of time said they actually feel like they're in Mecca, um,
Mhm.
the cold marble under their feet. One of the things I found out when, like, I was researching this book was that in Mecca, actually, the marble that's there is a special marble that's only sourced in this one area of Greece.
Mhm.
It's so like it's so cool that it actually doesn't, it doesn't heat up like other marble.
Wow.
So it actually cools. So it's better than, like, having a cooling system under the floor or something. So there's all these
Wow.
interesting things. And it's just that I hope that when whoever reads it feels like they're actually on a journey. They're actually, running between the mountains, like they're actually taking part. Maybe you'll be exhausted by the
I feel like I'm on the walk. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I've seen all the infrastructure that goes in behind it, like the
Mm,
bathrooms and the tents
yeah.
I mean, you have to have a lot of portable stuff for 3 million people to come through.
Mhm.
What is your base readership? Who are most of the people that end up reading your books, do you find?
So I'm always, like, surprised and pleasantly surprised to see that, like, my readership is quite diverse.
Mhm.
Um, I I I see, like, I kind of write for the young person I was that I didn't get to see my stories
Mm.
on in bookshelves and stuff. So I kind of write for that reader, and so that reader is reflecting a lot of my Muslim young readers.
Mhm.
But then I get all these messages and emails from, like, um, people who see themselves for the first time in my books that are not from the Muslim faith, which is always very interesting. And I found that, and it's people of faith of different backgrounds as well, uh,
Mm.
from, Christianity to Judaism to Hinduism, just all different faith groups who hold kind of, like, to their faith strongly, but they don't see that reflected.
Mm.
So they found themselves in my books, which is very interesting to me. And like, interesting in a really, like, I'm just so happy to see that because it shows that we're so much more connected than we think we are. And
Mm.
I love that. And also, just, yeah, just young people from different backgrounds. Also, it's used in schools. My books are used in schools across the US. So I know that educators, like, seem to really find that, um, they feel like young readers from different backgrounds can kind of access the story. And that's what I write as though, the way I write is as though, like, you you already know what I'm talking about.
Mm.
I don't try to explain. I don't do glossaries. I don't do It's just like in context. So people feel kind of like I try to put a welcome mat by like just treating you as though you would understand, like, you know, what's going on. Because I come from that view of like readerships, that if you are seeking a book to read, you know, that might cover characters that are different from you, you're already open.
There
Like,
you go.
yeah, you're already, you know, ready for the story.
There you go. Well, this sounds awesome. This is really sounds really inspiring. You know, love transcends everything. The feeling of love, people loving thing, it transcends everything, culture,
Mhm.
space, time. I don't know about space. I haven't ever gotten to the other side of space, but I imagine it would. Love conquers everything. That's what we should just roll
True.
on. But it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Give us your .com so people can look you up on the interwebs and find out more about you.
My .com is sklebooks.com.
Mm-hmm. And thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And hopefully it opens up a lot more people's eyes to the whole experience of what it's like to be in Islam and that Mecca trek. Because
Yes.
I've always thought it was kind of interesting. I'd like to go sometime, and I'm not, you know, I just like to go because it seems like something really cool to experience. So many people.
Read the book and
Yeah, I can read the book and skip it. There you go. There you go. Thanks, Mounties, for tuning in. Be sure to order up the book. You can pre-order it right now on Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. You'd think Amazon would give me a dime for that. October 18th, 2022. The book is Love from Mecca to Medina by S.K. Ali. Order that baby up today and check out all of our other books. You can read those while you're waiting for this one to come in October. Thanks for tuning in. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. All the groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all those crazy places those kids play. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.